Well, well, well. Looks like the Elijah Bless have Ian right where they want him. One by one, he's meeting his abductors. Slowly but surely, he's starting to realize what fate befalls him. Days went by and the women came and went, some talking to me, but others glared real vicious like. They would always bring food and drinks, which I refused, but was force-fed. Man, that was such a struggle. Them women held me down, grunting and screaming. Thank God I did not see them much during the day, so I spent most of my time thinking about Jane. I would daydream about she smiling at me or talking softly in my ear. It was almost as if she was there with me. I would think about what the Elijah Bless had in store for me. They seemed to be trying to build up my strength for something. Man, I tell you what, my mind raced with all kinds of horrible images about their rituals and sacrifice. But the thing that concerned me the most was whether they would exact their revenge on me for whatever horrible life they lived. Depression set in like a dark fog, and I lay there mentally paralyzed. No thoughts, no images, nothing. It was as if I was already dead. One early morning, I was laying on the makeshift altar, deep in thought, when the young girl who had brought me food days earlier came in and sat a tray of food next to me. She unlocked the shackles from my wrists, and I sat up and forced myself to smile at she. She was so young and small, I somehow felt less threatened by her. She tossed the shackles on the ground next to the altar and picked up the tray and handed it to me. "Are you all right?" she asked. She faced close to mine, she hazel eyes lifeless. She smelled like jasmine. "I am fine," I said, trying to portray my toughest persona. "That's too bad," she said, climbing on the altar. I tried to move away, but she grabbed my face and sunk she friggin' teeth into my nose. I screamed as I dropped the tray and tried to bring my arms up to push she away. But she teeth was buried deep into the cartilage of my nose. A voice in me was yelling, "Knock she off, you fool. She is just a child." I heard my skin rip as she moved she head from side to side, ferocious like a lion is tearing the meat off of its prey. I kept screaming, my voice disappearing, unable to facilitate the high octave of my screams. "Little bastard, wait until I get my strength back." She was the first one I would kill. The pain was not limited to my nose. There was more pain in my back as I thrashed around on the altar trying to escape. Then suddenly as the attack began, it came to an abrupt end as she was yanked from me. I reached up and touched my nose, making sure it was still there. Damn thing felt like raw friggin' meat. There was a struggle going on the sand next to me. I wiped the tears from my eyes, trying to get a look at what was going on. One of the women was holding on to the girl as she fought desperately to break loose. The woman tossed she around like a friggin' rag doll, picked she up, then threw she to the ground. The girl landed on the ground on all fours and looked up at me, growling like a rabid dog. "Get out!" the woman shouted, and the girl got up and disappeared through the entrance of the cave. The woman turned to me, a hint of compassion in her eyes. "Let me take a look at that," she said. I turned my head away from she, but she grabbed hold of my chin and pulled me head around. "Nasty, nasty," she said, looking closely at my nose, she big gray-colored eyes assessing the damage. "I will be right back," she said, and she turned and walked away, leaving a musky scent lingering in the air. I lay there, breathing through my mouth, tasting blood as it trickled down my nose and into my mouth. I tried not to move so as not to agitate my bruised back, but not even my immobility helped stop the pain. The woman came back with an enamel bowl in she hands, climbed onto the altar and sat down on me, grinding she pelvis. Then she started wiping my face with a wet rag. It was warm and felt good against my throbbing nose. My nurse, on the other hand, was being less than gentle in her efforts to clean my wounds. She scrubbed and wiped, talking the whole bloody time. I blocked out the words, trying to think of ways to get the hell out of there. When she was done doctoring, She sat on top of me, still gyrating. Bloody saints, here we go. I tried my best not to make eye contact with she. Why don't you want to look at me? She asked, waiting for an answer. When she realized I was not going to say a damn thing, she jerked my head round so I looked into she eyes. You should not have tried to escape. That little stunt made everyone in here vexed with you. Maybe you should not fight back. I looked into she eyes. They were so big it seemed as if she eyelids were too small to cover them. She large nose protruded from she long face overlapping she thin hard lips. She smiled at me, showing 2 rows of teeth that looked like she was chewing on trees for the last lifetime. What is my long-term fate? I demanded. She started to talk. It was as if I was not even in the cave with she. Many a man have tried to escape from us over the years, but I have kept a watchful eye. I did not want to hit you over the head the other day, but it had to be done. She voice faded away as she drifted off into she thoughts, the whole time grinding down on me, closing she eyes at intervals. I tried not to get aroused, but the more she moved, the less control I had of my body. She stopped moving and sat on top of me for a few moments. She eyes closed, then abruptly she got up, jumped off the altar, and walked to the entrance of the cave. I will come back for the tray later. I looked down at the spilled food, my nose still throbbing, then lay down and looked up at the sky. I tell you what, I felt like a bloody animal waiting to be slaughtered or something. The sun was beginning to hide itself behind a dark cloud, and for the life of me, I could not keep my bloody eyes open, and when they were closed, images of what may be in store for me invaded my thoughts. My nose was still throbbing, and small waves of pain flowed through my head every time I moved any part of my face. I thought of the little girl. Man, did I misjudge the little demon? Stupid me found out the hard way how strong the bond between these women was. Sleep crept up on me like a juju, stealing the soul from my body, and I submitted and welcomed the darkness. I dreamed about home, the rose garden, the sound of mangoes falling from the tree, Ken's singing as he picked up the fruit. I also saw Allison in my dreams. She was standing in the corner of she room with a disappointed look on her face. Why didn't you believe? She lips were moving, but it was she grandmother's voice that came out. If only you did, you wouldn't be here right now. I started to cry. Help me, I pleaded, but the dream started to become distorted. White clouds floated above she head, engulfing she. She lips was moving, but the sound of the wind rushing made it seem like she was speaking on a CB radio that was breaking up. No, I screamed, but she was dissolving into the clouds. I kept screaming louder, trying to make she come back, but she disappeared, leaving complete darkness. Excruciating pain in my wrist woke me up. The night sky loomed down on me from the hole at the top of the cave. A shooting star trailed across the sky, and I made a wish. I was a drowning man trying to catch a straw. The cave was dark, and I felt that I was buried in my own damn grave. Soon I fell back to sleep, too tired to think anymore. When I woke up, I felt hands caressing my body. I tensed up in anticipation of being attacked, but the hand only touched me gently, rubbing my stomach, then trailing down to my pubic area. I looked down to the lower half of my body, trying to see what the hell they were doing. It was the woman who had pulled the little girl off of me. She lips were pressed against my stomach now. Small bursts of air escaped from her mouth, tickling my skin. A chill ran through my entire body, and I concentrated hard, trying not to get excited. I felt she fingernails dig into my skin as she movements become more deliberate. It was real obvious what she intentions were, and I was not going to let that happen without a fight. So I lifted my wrist, trying to deter she. She stopped, looked up at me. She hair had a yellow-like glow as the light from the torches bounced off of it. She looked down the length of my body until she was staring into my eyes. Then slowly she ran her tongue up my belly until she got to my nipple. She bit onto it, and it hurt like hell, but I was not going to let she know that. She left my nipples and brought she face close up to mine, and I tried to push she off with my hands, forgetting they were in the restraints. She smiled and closed she eyes. Man, I tell you what, That damn woman looked like she really enjoyed how helpless I was. She leaned down and pressed her lips against mine, and I moved my head from side to side trying to avoid she. She grunted with annoyance and grabbed my face, holding it still. She long nose poked into my cheek as she tried to pry my lips open with her tongue. Man, that woman could generate more saliva than a dog in heat. Suddenly she stopped and stood up to her knees. A hint of anger flashed into her eyes and she spat at me. "Don't you think I'm pretty?" she demanded. I just laid there, my face turned away from she. She straddled me and grabbed my face and tried to force me to look at she. But I tell you what, I was not going to let some crazed phantom bully me at all. That made she real mad, and she raised her right hand and slapped me across the face. A flash of color exploded in the air around me as pain rumbled through my head. "You think I'm repulsive, don't you?" she screamed. And I watched as her hand disappeared beyond the light from the torch, then reappeared, smashing into my face. This time, I saw a red flash as one of her fingers dug into my eye, and tears gushed out, blinding me. The palm of her hand struck the side of my face again. Man, I tell you, a rush of anger erupted in me, and I lunged forward, knocking she off balance for a second. She lifted her hand, this time balling her fists, and before I could react, she punched me on the side of my head. That did it. "You're beautiful! You're beautiful!" I screamed, my head spinning from the blows. She stopped and looked down at a tray that sat next to my feet. She looked back at me and motioned towards the tree, and for a second I thought she was going to hit me again, but instead she stepped off the altar, reaching it to me. I motioned for she to remove the shackles. She hesitated, but removed them anyway. I sat up. The room spun like I was in the middle of an ocean, stuck in a whirlpool sinking fast. I was hungry, plus eating seemed to be the only way I could get the damn woman to stop attacking me. She started pacing around the altar, her eyes never leaving mine. "That's a nasty bite on your nose there. We will have to doctor some more, don't we?" she said. I ignored she. What made she think I would play she sadistic little game? "You don't care what I say, do you? You would like to destroy me right now, wouldn't you?" She laughed. Yes, I could see it in your eyes. I chewed slowly, trying not to cause myself any more pain. "You, the living, you have no clue as to what goes on after you have lived and passed on, huh?" she asked, looking at me. "You idiots, fools walking on borrowed time. I hate you," she screamed. I stopped chewing and looked at she. "Am I supposed to feel sorry for you?" I asked. My question took she off guard and she walked up to me and grabbed me by the throat. Food flew out my mouth, but the damn lady kept talking. "Don't you talk back to me. I never said I wanted to have a conversation with you." Welida, on the other hand, she want conversation. She with she spiritual ways and she fragrance goddess, all dainty and sweet, trying to seduce you pigs. Me, I worship a Zulu Danto, the warrior goddess. That Elisa Frida is so sweet and so good, anyone might take advantage of her. But Elisa Danto? No, she's a true leader. Why do you think I'm here, huh? To stop fools like you from thinking you can take advantage of us. She stopped talking and looked at me, she eyes surveying my whole body, she fingers tightening around my neck. Some people only understand violence, like you high-minded bourgeois, yes-man types. You sell out to the colonialists, devour their education, and then try to regurgitate it to the young people. That's why I took that young girl under my wings, taught her the art of defending herself. So don't think because she's young, you could trick her into letting you go. She took a step towards me, her eyes flashing with anger. Violence is sometimes the only answer. The rush of watching someone solely accept death. No more struggling, no more fighting for the last breath. Just peace and tranquility. She shook, her eyes closed. Then she leaned towards me and looked down at the tree. "It would be better if you let me feed you." I tried to talk, but she was still choking me. Then she let go and started pacing again. "I can feed myself, thank you," I gasped, and shot she the evilest stare I could. She climbed onto the altar, looking at me impatiently. She began to caress my shoulders, and I flinched, and a flash of anger entered her eyes, and she stopped, looked at me for a second, then ran her fingernails down my chest. She breath escaped from her mouth in short, deep bursts. I ate slowly, watching every bloody move the woman made. After about 5 minutes, she stopped, looked at the tray, then screamed, reached over and slapped the tray away from me, and before I could retaliate, she was on top of me. I swung my right hand, hitting she in the face, but she only smiled, grinding she hips down on me. The yellow light from the torches reflected in she eyes, making them seem like they were on fire or something. Just like a man. Come on, fight, fight, she screamed as she became more excited. I felt myself becoming aroused, and in a desperation, I reached down and grabbed hold of her leg. The hairy stump felt like bristles on a pig's ass. I was revolted, and all sense of arousal evaporated, and I reached down, picked up the tray, and slammed it against her head. She tilted sideways, falling off the altar, hitting the ground with a loud bump. No sooner had she fallen, she bounced right up and was standing on the altar. Damn woman moved like a fox. I rolled off the altar in an attempt to avoid the attack, but I hit the ground with a violent jolt, sending shockwaves of pain through my body. I struggled to get to my feet, but only managed to get to my hands and knees before she was standing over me, and with the violence of an angry bull, she kicked me in the ribs. My stomach felt like a porcupine fish was shooting off its needles in there. I covered myself with my hands, trying to deflect some of the blows, but the bloody woman just kept kicking. Then the numbness set in, and I rolled over, leaving my entire body open to her relentless assault. I did not know how many times she kicked me with that damn hoofed leg, but I prayed that God, man, anybody would come to my rescue. I sank into a darkness that covered my whole freaking soul. Yeah, man, death would have been better for me.
Will Eon be able to escape his captors and go back to his life of tropical bliss? Come back next time to see. Papa Jumpy says you will not be disappointed.